Good day. I'm just wondering if you can hear me. That's my first test of this webinar. You could write in the chat box that you can hear me. That would be great. Excellent. Thank you so much. I've been having so much trouble with audio on this laptop. So the first thing I always do is ask, can you hear me? So I've got, it looks like 3 attendees for now. My name is Sharon Canning, and I'm based out of Gander, Newfoundland, Nine Wing Gander. And I'm here today with my blinds closed because it's an absolutely beautiful day here. And the sun just blocked me out, so I had to close the blinds. But it's absolutely beautiful in Newfoundland. Where are all my participants from? Kingston. Wow, what's it like up there? Good. We got 2 gorgeous days. Well, I'm based out of Nine Wing, and I'm actually in my office right now. We've been back to the building for about 2 months now. We've had our gym opened, so I'm in the recreation center. So if you hear bouncing balls or gym equipment, that type of stuff, I've got my door closed. But those sounds, if you hear those, that's what you're hearing. Hopefully, they won't be too loud. Okay, it looks like we are right at 11:30 my time, 10 o'clock if you're in Ontario. Okay, so we'll get started. This is going to be a webinar today about just about dining out, what happens if you dine out too much, and basically what to do if you're on the road and if you're expected to be eating at restaurants or eating out more and you're not at home. What are some possible things that you can do? The very first thing that we do in all of our webinars is we have a little blurb here before we get started. Just this presentation today is actually not one that would have any sensitive nature that would have it where you would have to be nervous about children around. It's actually something children may want to have a look at, or even teenagers, especially if they're like my teenagers and they like to eat out, take out food a lot. If people have any stories here today, if people admit to anything or talk about their own personal life, that's something that we absolutely love during our webinars, but that's something too that is confidential that we want to keep here today just amongst us. It's being recorded and the webinar will be available later on our YouTube page, the PSP YouTube page for viewing. It's just to let you know that as well. Okay. Everybody good? Well, let's get started. So the first thing I talk about in this session is Canada's Food Guide. And 2 years ago, Health Canada came out with a new food guide, and the food guide was very much based around images and based around you looking at how you eat during the day, rather than the old portion sizes of you have to eat this much in one day, you have to have this much in one day. So it's just a matter of looking at, they have a plate here, but looking at your day and saying to yourself, is about half the food that I eat during the day from the vegetable and fruits group? Is it vegetable and fruits that I choose first? Are they the ones that I go to, and about half my day it is fruits and vegetables? Then incorporating the other half of your day with lean proteins, really good protein foods, and great whole grains. So if you add those into your days, that's how Canada's Food Guide is really pushing right now. But one of the other things that they did right within the food guide that had never been there before was that they said, they encouraged you to cook real food at home more often than not. So what do you think that meant? What do you think Health Canada was trying to say by putting that as part of their food guide? So they encourage cooking real food at home. You can write this in the comment box if you'd like. And you can also write why. Why do you think Health Canada felt a need to encourage Canadians to cook more at home and to cook more real food at home? That's right. So less restaurants means less of those bad, fatty, greasy foods. A lot of our takeout restaurants have, like most foods that they do offer at the restaurants are high fat, high cholesterol, high sodium. So yeah, so what they're trying to encourage is that we choose real food. So what do you think I mean by real food? Grows in nature, as close to nature as possible. That's right. A lot of the times it's really, it's hard to get real food in terms of with our grains. You know, bread is considered real food, but it was made from a grain into a bread. So yeah, exactly. Our grows in nature that's a great one. So real food is closest to real that you can possibly get. So when you're looking at your proteins, you can look at, your lean meats, your beans, your lentils, cheese, milk, all those types of things will give you your proteins. Then with your whole grains, you've got pasta, you've got breads, there's actual whole grains like oatmeal. Those are the things that they would like for you to choose more often. And then with your fruits and vegetables, they're abundant. There's all sorts that you can choose from. And I know that a lot of people are like, don't eat bananas, don't eat potatoes, but you're better off they're real foods. So a banana is a real food versus a boxed food. So when we talk about real foods, it's the foods that grow in nature, the ones that you get around the perimeter of the store more so than the canned and boxed items that are within the aisles. And that's what we want to try to choose more often. And that's why they say when you're at home, you're getting those real foods more often than if you go to restaurants. So we're going to talk about restaurants, dining out, takeouts. That's what we're going to discuss today. Anybody have any questions before we start? Does everybody hear me well? Everybody understands me? Good, thanks. Because I am from Newfoundland, so I do have my Newfoundland accent. Okay, so here we go. Let's talk about dining out. Why do we dine out? Why do people eat out rather than eating at home? What are some reasons that you choose to eat out during the week, on the weekends? What are the reasons that you go to restaurants or go through drive-thrus or go to fast food places? No answers? Convenience, I'm lazy, I don't want to cook. That's exactly it. The thing is with eating out, and the reason why most of us do is because we're at a point in our lives where we're all very, very busy and we're in a rush. And the fact of going home and actually preparing food and cooking it and having to clean up afterwards, when we're so busy, we've got to get from this place at this time to that place at that time. It's just so much easier to scoot through a drive-through or to just, order something, run in, grab it, and then run home, and then you've got it at home, or even eat it in the car. So there's no preparation. We don't have to shop. There's no cleanup afterwards. It's nice to go out. It's nice to be social, to sit around with friends and actually, chat and talk with them. You don't have to make a decision for everybody. I'm not sure if any of you guys have children. but I have two and they're both picky eaters. So what my husband and I may eat for supper, we're doing a modified version for the kids. You know, if we have a spaghetti with all sorts of vegetables and chunks in it, they're having spaghetti with just red sauce. So we're changing it up, and then that makes extra work. So going out allows you, everybody picks out their own meal, and everything is good. So there's a variety of food selections. It's just so much easier. It's convenient. It's the way we're going. I know here in Newfoundland, where I live in Gander, where, if any of you have ever been posted here, somebody's there saying less money too. And I think I actually have that on the next page. If you're a single person, or if you're living just two people in one house, you might be able to go to a fast food restaurant and buy a meal for way cheaper than it would be to go to the restaurant, to go to a grocery store and then come home and have to go through the process of cooking it, preparing it, and then cleaning up afterwards. I agree, especially when you see those sales. Just this week, my son, he's 15, he came to me and said, "Mom, do you know that this pizza place in town is offering 2 pizzas for $7?" And I'm like, what? How can they make money off of that? You know, I can't make a pizza for $7, not to feed my family. So 2 gigantic pizzas for $7. So you're right. And those are the reasons why people choose to eat out more so than going home. The rushed life that we have. You know, things have slowed down now because of COVID, but my life with 2 children, and I'm sure anybody's before, with all of the things that we have to do after work, going to the gym, running around with kids, getting homework done, going grocery shopping, or going out to do some shopping, getting your banking done, all that type of stuff that you have to do after work, it makes you just go, 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 go. And if you live in a big town, Gander's not so big, then sometimes you're driving for hours after work, going around doing your errands. So then you think, well, I'm hungry, I'm just going to grab something. Those are the reasons why we dine out. And we're living in a very busy time right now. Things have changed in the past 20, 30 years. We don't just sit home at the table and get home from work and sit with your family. So we're very busy, and that's why. And I call this slide, I called it the American way, because of the fact that when we do dine out, when we do go to a restaurant, or we do go to a fast food drive-through or a fast food place, a lot of the times what happens with us though is, it's cheaper. It's faster. It's convenient. We don't have to cook it. We don't have to clean up. So all the things we just talked about, how great it is to eat out, these are some of the things that get in the way of our healthy lifestyle. So we tend to go out to a restaurant and you've got this attitude of, I have to eat my money's worth. You know, so you get this gigantic plate of food and you're like, well, I got to eat it. It's put in front of me. I spent all this money on it. It's $20 for this meal. So I'm going to eat it all. Or you eat more than you would normally eat if you were at home. A lot of the times too, people have got an attitude of, oh, I'm out. I'm eating out. I'm at a restaurant. So you know, who cares about healthy tonight? Let's just choose whatever I want. I've got written there the whole, it's cheaper to eat out. So a lot of people choose that way. The American way. Yeah, I get the fries. And that's the thing too. We make it, I've got a bunch of other things written here as well. We make choices, you know, you go out and you say to yourself, I'm going to eat out tonight and I'm going to choose something healthy. It's a Tuesday night and I like to eat healthy all week long. So you know, I go out and I'm going to choose a salad. And then you get the menu in front of you and they have a picture of this, you know, big loaded burger with the fries on the side. And you're like, oh, that looks so much better than the salad I thought it was going to get. Or you figure I'm going to get a stir fry and the waiter passes by you and they have this gigantic plate of nachos and it smells so good. And you're like, oh, they look so good and they smell so good. So I'm going to get them. If you're home cooking, you don't have those little enticements. So you don't smell somebody else's meal. You don't see a menu full of like really nice cooked stuff so that you're like, maybe I won't eat healthy. Maybe I'll choose that instead. I'm eating out. It's okay. And that's the attitude we have. A lot of the time with restaurants, you might get the gigantic meal and you'll say, okay, well, I'm going to take this home. But then you're like, well, I have no option right now. I'm at this restaurant, and then afterwards I have to go somewhere else. And then the meal is going to be sitting in my car for 2 or 3 hours. It's not like you can just put it in your fridge. So you're like, I won't take it home. I'll just eat a little more. Going to restaurants, a lot of the times we end up eating way more, or even binging, especially when it's all you can eat. We binge, we eat way more than we normally would have eaten. And you're right. You get the fries because they look so good. They smell so good. Another thing we tend to do too, if we go to a restaurant, is dessert. Most of the time at your house, you may not eat a dessert. Supper's over, you clean up and you walk away from the table. But in a restaurant, you've got this menu in front of you and all the desserts are pictured and they look so good. And you're like, and then the waiter comes and says, oh, would you like to try our cheesecake? It's amazing. If we drizzle it in chocolate, it looks so good. And then you choose it. Or even if you go to, a small cafe or something like that for lunch, you may choose a nice salad. And then next thing you know, there's all these cookies on the side of the counter. And you're like, oh, I'll just grab a couple cookies instead. Or if I get cookies and a drink, then it only costs $2 more. So those enticements are there. And then we end up eating more. And then came the almighty drive-through. So drive-thrus have been around for a while, but I'm finding now, like, every single fast food place that you can go to, even little tiny nooks and crannies. We have a gas station here in Gander that has a little tiny sandwich shop attached to it. And they added a drive-through just to make it so much easier for people to just grab things and go. Grab, go, eat it in your car. It's that fast. And it's great. The drive-through is wonderful, especially if it's snowing and you don't have to get out of your car and go into the fast food place. If it's raining, if it's freezing cold, or if you're a parent and you've got 2 or 3 kids in car seats, you don't have to yank them all out of the car seats. Go into the restaurant, order your meal, and go back out again. Get yourself on the road because you're busy. The drive-through has made it so easy to just scoot through, grab what you want, and eat in your car from one destination to the next. And this is why Canada's Food Guide is saying, please go home, sit down, enjoy your meals, try to eat mindfully. It's really difficult if you're driving to be eating mindfully. You're just shoving that food in you as fast as you can get it in you and getting to the next destination. Anybody agree? Is that your life? Yes. It is. And it's so funny. I always say my children don't like me. I don't think I have the brain cells to drive and eat, but fries for sure. My kids think I'm mean because I always say you're not allowed to get takeout from Monday to Friday. And they're like, Mom, everybody else is getting it. I'm like, nope, you have to be good. Well, actually, Sunday to Thursday. You're not allowed to get takeout. But luckily enough, we live in a small community, so that if my son is playing hockey and then he has soccer an hour later, I can easily drive home to my house and throw on eggs and toast for him. I can do that. But a lot of people that live in huge cities, if you've got a child or if you've got an appointment at this time and then an hour later you have another appointment, then and in between is time to eat, then these are the things you do. You jump through the drive-through and you grab your food and you drive and you get it down in you as fast as you can. So this is the way of our lives right now. A lot of the times too, people only get half an hour for lunch and they don't bring their lunches with them. So they're running out, they're grabbing something and running back and eating at their desk. So we're really busy, and because of it, we're not eating as well as we should. So what do we do? How can we change this? So I basically sat down here and I wrote down, according to Dietitians of Canada, a balanced diet for an average adult is made up of the following nutrients. So when I say average adult, that's your average person who exercises a little bit. You know, you might go on a cardio machine for 45 minutes, do a little bit of weights afterwards. You may do some yoga, and you do this on a daily basis or maybe 5 times a week. A lot of these numbers vary because of the fact that people exercise more, exercise less. Some people are healthier than others in terms of like blood pressure, whether or not they have type 2 diabetes, type 1 diabetes. So a lot of these factors do change, but for a regular healthy individual, approximately 2,000 calories a day is what you should eat, unless you're a very tall and large man and you work out quite a bit and you need 3,500 calories a day. If you're a woman who works out a lot and does a lot of exercise and is running and doing a lot of cardio, then you're going to need more than 2,000 calories a day. But most of us need about 2,000, some less, some more. The protein also varies. The reason why protein varies, I'm not sure if any of you have ever taken our Top Fuel course, but protein varies based on also how much you work out. So how much you're actually using your muscles during the day. So the 50 grams that I have here would be for somebody who just, like for me, I work out, I go to the gym 45 minutes, I run or I'm on an elliptical, and then afterwards I do some weights. So the 50 grams would work for me. Fat should be about 65 grams. And the sugar here is your daily sugar in all of the foods that you eat, so 90 milligrams. So that doesn't mean 90 milligrams of white refined sugar. That means the sugar in the foods that you eat, like your fruits, your vegetables, your whole grains. That's where you're going to get these sugars from. Sodium is 2,300 milligrams, and I always get a question on that one because most of our courses will say 1,500 milligrams, and Dietitians of Canada actually say 1,500 milligrams as well. But if you're a healthy individual with no problems with blood pressure at all, and you drink a lot of water and you exercise, you can safely consume 2,300 milligrams a day. And that is actually what our food labels is based on. So if you were to look at the side of a box, that's what our food labels are based on, 2,300 milligrams. And your fiber is about 30. So these are approximations. They vary, but these are about the same for most of your regular people. And the reason I show this is because when I do this actual presentation here in Gander, I send people off into groups and I have a bunch of menus made up for like a day of your life of eating out at restaurants or fast food places. And I'll give you the menus and the nutritional information from all of those places. And I usually choose places that are regular right across Canada. So these restaurants and these fast food spots are based in all of Canada. They're not just here in Gander. And they'll go off in their groups and they'll find out how many calories, how much sodium, how much sugar, how much fat and protein is in each of the meals of the day. So I can't do that with you guys. I can't send you away in groups to do that. So what I've done is I've made up a daily menu, a breakfast, a lunch, and a supper, we call it here in Newfoundland. So a breakfast, lunch, and supper daily menu of somebody eating out during the day. And I've based it on 3 establishments that are popular here in Canada. I can't name them, but they are popular and they are places that people frequent quite a bit. So you would be familiar with these places. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you the breakfast, lunch, and supper of what this person would have eaten. And I've taken these numbers directly from the nutritional menus for these establishments. And then I'm going to show you the totals and see what this person has eaten in the run of a day. So let's start with breakfast. So here's our breakfast. So this person went out for breakfast before work and they grabbed through the drive-thru a multigrain bagel with butter, a medium cappuccino with skim milk, and a hash brown, which isn't a huge breakfast. It's just a quick little grab. It's not a lot of food, but this is what they grabbed. So you're looking at their total calories for breakfast is 640 calories, which isn't a whole lot, especially if you're somebody that needs 3,000 calories a day. However, if you're a woman and you're only basing your day on 2,000 calories or even 1,800 calories, 640 you're adding quite a few calories right there at breakfast time. So 640 calories. The big kicker that I wanted to show you, though, is the sodium. And the sodium is huge just in the multigrain bagel with butter. You got 925 milligrams of sodium just in your breakfast alone. And like I was telling you earlier, if you're somebody that has any type of blood pressure problems or anybody at all who really wants to keep your sodium low, 1,500 milligrams is the recommended daily amount. 2,300 is the maximum. And that's if you're very healthy, you exercise, you drink a lot of water. You got 17 sugars, 44 grams of fat already. And 5 grams of fiber is pretty good. It would be nice to get your fiber up to about 9 or 10 with each meal. But 5 is good. So you're looking at quite a few of these nutrients already that you've filled up for the day. So that's your breakfast, multigrain bagel with butter. Let's look at what they had for lunch. And I'm going to stop here. If you guys have any questions or comments, please, I'm keeping an eye on the chat so you can ask anytime. Just hype up, raise your hand, throw your question in there whenever you want. So for lunch, this person chose does the type of fat differ if you're eating healthy fats? We need fat in our diet. So fat is very important. So yeah, that's the thing, is the quantity of fat, it doesn't differ. You need so much fat. And so basically the recommended amounts, so I said 65 grams. The recommended amounts are 65 grams. So whatever type of fat you get, 65 grams is the limit. That varies a little tiny bit. But obviously choosing the mono and polyunsaturated fats, choosing unsaturated fats is healthier than choosing saturated. However, you're going to get some saturated fats in your day if you're eating meats or you're drinking milk or you're eating cheese, because those are animal fats. Animal fats are your saturated fats. Plant fats are your unsaturated. So your plant fats is where they want you to get the most. I have a number here somewhere of how many unsaturated versus saturated you should get throughout the day, but you should try unsaturated most. Relating to sodium, I have low blood pressure and have been told a few times to increase my salt intake. Is there a best healthy way of doing this aside from adding sea salt to my food? Do you eat a lot of processed food, or do you eat out quite a bit? And how much water do you drink a day? Because if you drink a lot of water and you're going to the bathroom a lot, then you're going to also, if you're eating a lot of sodium, you're going to flush it out of your system as well. Okay, so they said, I'm mostly veggies and lean meats, not a lot of red meat. I have a big 2-liter bottle per day of water. So you're drinking quite a bit of water. That's good. 2 liters is good, though. It's not an overabundance. Yeah, so you're not eating a whole lot of processed stuff. So because of that, you may have to. So did you want to add sea salt to your food, or do you find that it's too savory for you? Because it's a bit much, yeah. Because if your doctor is asking you to add more sodium, I can see why. You're not having much sodium at all. And you do need sodium. It's recommended that you do have 1,500 milligrams a day at least. So if you're only eating lean meats and fruits and vegetables, you're getting very low amounts of sodium. Could you add a pinch to your water? Throw it in there. Maybe you wouldn't taste it so much. Sports drinks would be good. Yep. You could be adding some sport drinks to your day. The only thing is not too many, because you don't want to add too much of the refined sugar to your diet. But do you work out quite a bit? Because if you're working out a lot too, then you are going to need, oh, the gym is still closed. Okay. Not here in Gander. But yeah, because if you're working out quite a bit, you will need to replace those carbohydrates anyway. So that would be fine for the sports drinks. Try a sport drink. Try it for a while and see if your blood pressure is better. That might be a good idea, or even a little pinch of salt to your water. You could try that. Thanks. All right, let's get back. Lunch at a cafe, chili, biscuit, and a cold cappuccino with milk. So this person didn't have a whole lot, just a small bowl of chili with a white biscuit on the side. They've got 800 calories for their lunch, but look at the sodium. The sodium came a lot from that chili. So that's that processed chili that was probably pre-made somewhere in the country, vacuum packed and sent all around and reheated when it got to the restaurant. And that's what a lot of restaurants do, believe it or not. Chain restaurants here in Canada, the ones that, when you go from province to province, the same chains are here. Those chain restaurants, a lot of the time, you're getting food that was prepared somewhere else in Canada. It was vacuum packed and then sent down to the restaurants, pre-made practically, and they're just reheated. 100%. I'm an ex-chef, so somebody is that. So you're saying that's true 100%? I've been told too from people. Yeah, I can't say that, what you're saying right there. I don't know if everyone else can see it, but yeah, that's the thing is you're going out and you're paying all this money for meals that you think are being prepared in the kitchen, but they're not. They're pre-packaged, pre-made, and they're sent down just to be reheated. I actually did a day where everyone here at the base we took a few hours and went down to a local little, I can't say the name, but a little place down here that was like a fun day where we all just volunteered for a while. And I was on the drive-through window, but one of the military members that was in the kitchen afterwards, I drove back to the base with him and he said, Sharon, I'm so glad you weren't in the kitchen, because if you saw how things were prepared, you would have never eaten there again. Somebody, they're saying they worked there, frozen seafood, frozen everything except the steak at these restaurants. Yeah, so it's all coming in frozen, prepackaged. They just reheat it. I used to bartend at another place, and their food is all conveyor belt and pre-made. Oh my gosh. Don't tell me this. I know it, but it's just so hard. I can't believe it. Yeah, so people are all agreeing with what I'm saying. We don't have any of these restaurants here in Gander, but they're all in St. John's. So yeah, I don't go to them when we go in there. So, and that's the reason why, because if you're going to pay for a meal, I want to go somewhere where I know that it's cooked well and it's fresh local fruits and vegetables and fresh local food. Standalone restaurants aren't much better. Yeah, some of them I know, especially, when you go to a lot of places that they're just deep frying a lot of stuff, or they're just making, let's say, a chili or a soup and then setting it aside in the freezer. They're just adding preservatives, which is usually your sodium and your sugars and your fats. They preserve things. So that's the thing with restaurants is you're getting those preservatives, and that's the kickers. Those are the problems with eating out, is you're getting too much sodium, too much sugar, and too much fat. And it's okay to have for a treat. Going out to a restaurant for a treat once a month, once every couple of weeks, it's okay to do that. I'm not sitting here today saying don't go out, don't ever eat out, don't ever go, through a drive-through. But doing it on a moderate basis, like I'm trying to teach my kids now. When I say we're not going out from Sunday to Thursday, most weekends we're on the road for sports. So then I'm like, okay, so we're on the road for sports. You're obviously going to be able to get to a restaurant or a fast food place. You're going to have to. So this is why I'm trying to teach them. No, we eat home. We make choices to eat at home during the week. So you get your treat on the weekend, and that's all you can have. It's funny because when we were all home during COVID and our sports was all ceased, no more sports, my son, who's 15, came up over the stairs one day and he said, Mom, do you think that we could have fast food tonight, and it was on a Sunday, I think. And I was like, yeah, okay, we can have fast food tonight. And then every Sunday after that, he's like, can we have fast food tonight? It's been a week. We haven't had it for a whole week. Excellent. I'm glad you guys are chatting there about restaurants. I'm so glad you're agreeing with what I'm saying, because it's all so true. And you know what? You'll see it if you go. A lot of these places have their nutritional menus online. So just go have a look at it, and the amounts of sodium. There's one place actually that I have here on my sheet that I pass out. And for the supper, I actually had a stir fry. So a lot of the times you go to a restaurant, you say, I'm going to be healthy. I'm going to choose the stir fry. And this stir fry had 800 calories, 112 grams of sugar, 17 grams of fat, and 1,700 milligrams of sodium. So you think you're being healthy because you're like, oh, I'll choose the stir fry. But they're just packing it full of fat, sugar, and sodium just to keep it preserved. So again, small lunch, not a big, huge lunch. And let's have a look now at our supper. I chose a smoked honey mustard chicken and bacon sandwich, lemon iced tea, and a Veggie Delight salad. So I thought it'd be nice to get a salad on the side. And you can see too, with the salad, we bumped up our fiber because you're eating a lot of fruits and vegetables in that. So the Veggie Delight salad, I would say with the salad, the sodium from that came mostly from the ranch dressing and not from the veggies. And then we got a lot of sodium in our smoked sandwich. And a lot of that, I would say, came from the bacon as well. Bread in a lot of restaurants have quite a bit of sodium in them as well, because they fill the breads with sodium so that they'll last longer and they won't mold as fast. So you're getting your high amounts of sodium, high amounts of fat, 43 grams right here. And this one kind of bumped up our protein quite a bit. But the worst thing is the protein that you got, yeah, it was from chicken, but you also got it from the bacon. And that's a high fat, high saturated fat protein. And we tend to say, yeah, you have to have meats throughout the day. A lot of people won't go a day without a meat, but that's your choosing your meats and your cheese and your milk. Make that less of your proteins throughout the day, and then your other proteins, try to get them from your lentils, fruits, vegetables. There's not a whole lot of protein in fruits and vegetables, but soy has it. You can get protein even from your whole grains. Quinoa has some protein. So just looking at getting your protein in other ways. Even your skim milk and your cheeses with less fat in them, you're getting saturated fat, but you're getting less of it. So this is supper at a restaurant. It wasn't a whole big meal. And if you guys look at your daily totals, so for the whole entire day, I've got this here. Your whole entire day wasn't a big, huge calorie day. It might be a whole lot if you're a smaller woman, 2,500 calories. Look at the sodium though. So you ate out all day long and didn't have big meals and thought you were eating somewhat healthy, and you're ending up with like over 4,000 milligrams of sodium, 85 grams of sugar, 137 grams of fat. So it's phenomenal, the sodium, sugar, and fat that you're getting by eating out. The fiber is quite low because you're supposed to get at least 30 grams of fiber a day. Fiber is an amazing item to have, nutrient to have for your digestive system, for your food to digest slower, all that type of stuff. So I would say the reason why the fiber is so low here is because most of the food that they ate besides the salad, most of those sugars that they ate were refined sugars. So you had the white biscuit, the white bread, and then the bagel did have some whole grains in them, but that's probably where you're getting very low amounts of fiber. Somebody here saying sodium will most likely be the death of me. How come? Why? I'm here telling you not to eat it. The thing is too, you're going to get your sodium not by adding it so much to your meals, but by eating in restaurants and by eating boxed items, canned items, all those types of things. So all that stuff, in the aisles in the store, if you're buying boxed pizzas, boxed meals, pre-made pasta dishes, pre-made lasagnas, pre-made meals that are in the freezers, all of those things packed solid with sodium. And that's where you're going to get it from. And you can almost taste it afterwards when you were to buy a boxed pizza and you have a few pieces afterwards. If you're somebody that doesn't eat sodium very often, you feel like your mouth getting dry and just feel almost dehydrated. I don't know about you guys, but I do. Some fast food restaurants I've gone to, I've felt so dehydrated afterwards because the amount of sodium in like say the burger I ate. And so it's not even the French fries that they added the salt to, it's what's in the burger. Just you wake up the next morning and you're like, your mouth is dry because you're so dehydrated. And if you watch your sodium intake, after 2 or 3 months, you'll find that you taste sodium, you'll taste salt on things more than you ever did. And they won't taste good. My mother buys salted butter and I buy unsalted. So whenever I go over to her house and, if we have bread, I'll put it on the bread. And as soon as I take a bite, it's like, oh my gosh, ma'am, why do you have this salted butter? So, it's just a matter of getting yourself out of it. And one thing I always teach people when we talk about how to stop doing a habit is do it in baby steps. So let's say you drink 2 liters of pop a day. I never say to somebody, okay, you need to stop drinking pop. I'll just say, okay, can you put it down to 1 liter a day and try that for a while? Or even, people come into me and they say, oh, I drink a triple coffee. So 3 cream, 3 sugar. I'm like, all right, so let's try to bump it back to double. And just try that for a while and do it for 3 or 4 months or 6 months or a year, and then bump it back again. Maybe you might just want to bump it back 1 more cream. So then you've got 1 cream, 2 sugar, but do baby steps over time. And with sodium, that's something else that I always say is, okay, well, if you're eating out on a regular basis, you're eating out for every meal, that's where your abundance of sodium is coming from. So how about you have a breakfast at home and then you eat out the next 2 meals, or you have your breakfast through the drive-through. You want to go out to supper at a restaurant, bring your lunch with you. Those are the types of things I try to get people to do, is those baby steps, rather than saying, don't go out at all. When I was trained in French classical cuisine at Langdon Hall, I learned it's all fat, salt, butter, and cream. If I were to explain how much all of those are in all great foods, you know what, Cody, you are so right. Because when I do go to my mother's house, for some reason, she is like the best cook ever. Not for some reason. She is the best cook ever. And she even says to me, I don't even want to tell you how much fat and salt and butter is in this. I'm like, don't tell me. Because, yeah, all moms are, hey. But it's true. Like her lasagna, I think she uses a full block of cheese on 1 lasagna, and it's just so good. But that's not something we're eating every night. That's kind of like going out when we go to mom's. And my kids say I'm the worst cook ever because I omit all that stuff. I'm like, calling for cream. Maybe I can use milk instead. Yeah, it's a treat meal. Yeah, going to mom's is a treat meal. So these are your daily totals. Where am I? So what do we do? How do we go on the road? What is no cap? Sorry, do you want me to go back? What do you mean by what is no cap? Did you mean from this slide or? Oh, you guys are having your own conversations. Okay. So what do you do if you're on the road? Because, like I said, I'm on the road every weekend with my kids for sports, every single weekend. As military members, you guys are on the road a lot for TD, for your job. You're gone. You could be gone all day long. Many of you don't even live close to to where you work. So you leave your home in the morning and you're not getting back there till 6 o'clock at night. So you're at work, and what do you do? Because you still have to eat at least one meal there, which is your lunch and probably some snacks. So what I always do when I go on the road is, because I know, especially if I'm on TD from Monday to Friday, and I'm like, I'm going to have to eat out all week long. And by the end of the week, you're exhausted from the amount of sodium and sugar that you've consumed. So I usually prepare myself before I go. And on Sunday, I'll usually bake myself some muffins. Not sure how you guys feel about that, but I'll bake some high fiber muffins with some oatmeal in them, or some bran, and I'll grate up a few apples and throw those in the muffins, and then I've got those for breakfast. So a muffin for breakfast is good for me. I'm okay with that. And then I might even throw some apples in my bag, and I've got those. So for breakfast, you can have that. You can also bring a pack of just regular oatmeal, the easy ones that you can throw some hot water into. Most hotels have a little coffee maker there where you can boil some water. You can have one of those for breakfast. They're easy. You can throw those in your suitcase and they won't spoil. So having that, you may want to throw some dried fruit in there. Like I said, I'll put some apples in my suitcase, throw some bagels in there if you want. Just having those things for breakfast means you're not going to the restaurant for breakfast and eating bacon and eggs and toast and hash browns every single morning. You're not driving through a drive-through and grabbing something from the drive-through every morning that's full of sodium. For lunch, another thing I do too, which everyone, when I tell them I do this, they get grossed out. But if I'm going to be on the road, especially if I'm flying, I'm in Newfoundland, so it takes a long time to fly from one spot to another. So I'll always boil some eggs and put them in my carry-on. And then, like, if I'm really hungry in an airport, rather than having to eat at a restaurant, or because it's all very bad food at airports, I'll just have a couple boiled eggs, and they fill you up, and they're great protein. So all my crowd here in Gander, when I tell them that, they're like, I can't believe you fly with boiled eggs. But I do. So those are just some extra things you can have in your bag. You're allowed to bring food in your bag, so have it there just for when you do get really hungry and you're not grabbing then at whatever's available in an airport. For lunch, another thing that you may want to do is that you may want to skip lunch if you're on the road. And a lot of the times I actually travel up to Goose Bay quite a bit. So I do take my oatmeal for breakfast. Tetra Paks, there's a bunch of Tetra Pak soups that you can buy. And I know we talked about processed food. These Tetra Pak soups are low in sodium, and they contain carrots. Obviously they're processed a little bit, but very low sodium and very closer to real than most soups are. So I'll grab a few of those. And then high fiber crackers, you might want to grab some high fiber crackers and have those to fill yourself up at lunchtime. And then you're only eating out for supper. So you go and you have your supper, and you haven't eaten out all day long. So those are some things that I tend to do, is just prepare ahead of time to make sure I've got some things to eat for lunch and for breakfast rather than going out. I even find if you go to a mess, a lot of the times, because a mess is all you can eat, they've got buffets set up, and you tend to overeat at lunchtime because, and they've got them, as soon as you get to the cash registers, all those nice, yummy desserts that you can grab that normally you wouldn't have eaten at lunchtime. So those are some things you can do. And also find a grocery store. First, when you get there, you can go to the grocery store and grab those things, or you can look for fresh markets. I absolutely love going to Ottawa because there's so many fresh markets around. So the first day I go out for lunch, I'll find a market that has all fresh food and grab some of their nice fresh fruit, maybe a beautiful rice bowl or something like that for lunch. And, they come big, so I might have it in a takeout container and have it again the next day. So there's some beautiful fresh markets in bigger cities. Gander and Goose Bay, not so much. So those are some things you can do when you're on the road, but some other things that you can do if you're just somebody in your own hometown who tends to eat out at restaurants a lot. And it could be because of work, or it could be because somebody had mentioned they feel like eating out is cheaper. They don't have time. They don't They don't want to cook at home. They don't feel that they can cook at home. They don't get home in time to have a meal before they have to get up and go again. So some tips if you are actually eating out is to ask for a takeout container right away. So say, when you bring my meal, can you bring a takeout container? A couple weeks ago, we went to St. John's, and we were eating breakfast, and my daughter ordered a French toast. And I said, would you like to share with me? And she said, no, I want my own French toast. So I ordered my own breakfast. And when her French toast came out, it was 4 gigantic slices of bread with bacon and hash browns. And she just looked at it and she was like, oh my gosh, she's 13. She's like, I can't eat this. And I'm like, see, you should have shared with me. And there was so much leftovers, and we were leaving right after that. We never had a fridge. So it was just so much leftover. So sharing is another great thing to do. You should convince your kids to do it. Share with you. I wish she had shared with me because her meal looked so good. Consider if you're somebody that wants to go out and you want to eat at a restaurant every single day, consider going out for lunch instead of supper, because lunches are usually smaller portions. A lot of restaurants will come, they'll bring that bread basket, they'll stick it on the table, and you're starved. You get there and you start eating bread, or you start eating whatever they throw on the table first, garlic bread, and then you're so full by the time your meal comes. So just a lot of restaurants will come out and lay it on the table. You can just say, nope, we don't want that. Another thing too is this whole going to a restaurant hungry. If you are starving, you are going to look at the menu, see the nice yummy burger with fries, and say, I want that, more so than a salad, because you're starving. So going hungry is not a good idea. If you are planning on going out to a restaurant with friends and they say, well, we're not going till 7 o'clock at night, and you're like, well, I'm going to be hungry by then, have a little something at home. Have a banana with some peanut butter, or have some crackers with cheese, just to fill yourself up a little tiny bit before you go. Some other things you can do is ask for sauce on the side, which sometimes when I forget to do that, I want to kick myself, because if I order a salad and it comes out with the dressing already on it and the lettuce is all soggy and it's drenched in this dressing, I'm thinking, oh, why didn't I ask for the sauce on the side? Even a couple weeks ago when we did go to St. John's, I did get a curried rice bowl, and it came out and there was way too much curry on it. So I wish that I had asked for the curry on the side that I could have added myself. I know it's crappy and you don't want to do it, but choose a veggie of choice rather than the potato of choice. And this is for when you go out often. You know, if it's for your treat night, then have your fries. But if you're going out often, then choose the veggies as your side dish more so than the French fries or the baked potato or the twice baked potato or the hash browns. Drink water instead of pop, or instead of alcoholic beverages, or instead of fancy beverages that are also full of calories and sugar. Whenever they ask you to supersize, say no. Or whenever they ask you, would you like this extra thing? You know, we can add this extra item for only $2 more. Just say no, because a lot of the times we say yes, like $2 more and I get this. But most of the time then you think, I shouldn't even have got it because I'm not hungry anymore and I'm too stuffed. If you can choose smaller sizes, that would be a great option. I absolutely love restaurants that have half sizes. There's a lot out there that do. Or you can even ask them and say, do you have a half size of the lasagna? Or do you have a half size of this meal? Obviously, they can't half a burger. But if you're getting a stir fry, sometimes the stir fry comes on this gigantic platter. Well, can I get the half size or can I get the lunch size? You can ask them that. We already talked about all you can eat. So avoiding all you can eat, because that just always makes people binge. A lot of the times with all you can eat, you go out and it's $20 or $25 for all you can eat. And if you were to look at the menu in the restaurant, you could probably have gotten a meal with a lot of food anyway for $15. And I do this one all the time, is choose an appetizer instead of a meal. You know, you look down through the appetizers and half the time that comes out and it's enough. It's enough most of the time for 2 people, much less 1. So those are some things that you can do. You can also, if you're going to be eating out all week long and you're going to be going to restaurants and you know the restaurants you're going to, you may want to look at their nutritional information ahead of time and figure out what you're going to eat before you go. Watch for health claims. That's another thing. And this is the same thing when you go to grocery stores. A lot of the times in restaurants, they'll have like a little star or a little leaf or something next to a meal that they're saying is healthier, or this is gluten-free, or this is, cholesterol-free. And you're thinking, oh, I'll get that one because that one's better for me. But just because something is gluten-free does not mean it's better for you. Does not mean it has less sodium, less fat, less sugar. Just saying it's gluten-free. So those are some things you just need to be aware of. Are there any questions so far? Anything to add? Also, do you have any words of advice on snacking? Is there such thing as healthy snacking? Yes, fruit, vegetables, whole grains. Snacking is great. Snacking is something you should do, especially if you're hungry in the middle of the day. Hunger means that you need to eat. So your body is looking for fuel. And if you get hungry, then you should fuel that body. So fueling it with our Canada's Food Guide. So fueling it with whole grains. Like I said earlier, whole, crackers that are made from whole grains, or any type of, an oatmeal, crackers with whole grains, and then pairing it with a protein is great. An apple with a bit of peanut butter, or an apple with some peanuts, closer to real food would be the best, because then you're getting your protein from peanuts, you're getting your fiber and great sugars from your apple. A banana with some peanut butter if you want, or a banana with some almonds. Snacking is something you should do, especially if you're hungry. And, there's times here that in the 3:30 in the afternoon, I'm starving. And I think, well, I'm going home in an hour. And then by the time I eat supper, it'll be 5:30. So I'm not going to eat now. But then you go home and you end up like grabbing everything you can because you're starved while you're cooking. So I've gotten to the point now that at 3:30, if I get hungry, I have a snack. Because then that way you go home and you start cooking and you're not hungry. Cooking and hunger is not a good thing, because you end up eating a meal while you're cooking a meal. So, or you grab something because, there's been times I've been at the rink at 4:30 and I'm not getting home till 6, and I'm going to the canteen and grabbing a cookie or something because I'm so hungry. So snacking is, to me, trying to keep as close to real food as possible. So your fruit and your vegetables and your whole grains. Where are we? So why do we say cook more at home? Why is Canada's Food Guide, why is Health Canada telling us to cook more at home? Well, we just saw why, and you guys all confirmed, all you restaurant worker people. Basically, it's because you have to be very aware on a daily basis of what you're putting in your body to fuel yourself. Your body does not like an overabundance of sodium, fat, and sugars. And what happens is when you do eat an abundance of those, they try to get rid of it. And so your body is then working on overdrive to get rid of it. Your blood is flowing through your body faster. Your blood pressure raises when you have too much sodium. If you're doing this every single day, then you're only hurting yourself on the inside. So this is why we're trying to say cook more at home. And this is why I'm trying to teach my kids, no, we're not eating out every day. We're going to try to cook more at home and cook real foods. So we choose real foods and we eat real foods. And we know that on the weekends we're going to be away for sports and we won't be eating the way we should. Things have changed so much over the past 120 years. I mean, it says here in 1920, only 2 meals were eaten outside the home. Now we're eating outside the home all the time, and they're making it easier and easier, and restaurants are popping up everywhere. Fast food, it's unbelievable how many fast food restaurants are in my little tiny town. Last week a new one opened and there was a lineup the first night that took an hour to get in there, and I'm thinking there's enough fast food restaurants here. I don't know why you're all lining up there, but People love it. They love fast food. They love quick. They love salt. They love sugar. And because it tastes good, but it's not good for our bodies. So using it as a treat, fine. But the rest of the time, we need to be cooking at home. We need to be home in our kitchen, cooking real food, choosing better, healthier choices for ourselves. And cooking at home does not have to be gourmet. A lot of people think this is going to take so long. You don't have to be home cooking gourmet meals. A wrap is easy to make. You can throw together a stir fry super fast. Especially if you buy the bag of frozen vegetables, that can be done in seconds. If you, on a Sunday, someday, you sit down and you make yourself a huge pot of spaghetti sauce or a huge chili or a huge pot of stew and freeze it all. And then, you get home and you're in a rush and you pull the spaghetti sauce out of the freezer and you've got spaghetti within like 20 minutes. It's done and you're sitting down. So having those types of things on hand is really great. Throwing some chicken in the oven and then cutting up some vegetables and having a quick salad with chicken breasts on top. It doesn't take a long time. Eggs, toast, easy. An omelet is a great meal. You're getting lots of protein. You can throw some veggies in there and you can have a huge omelet with some whole grain toast. Great supper. People say breakfast for supper. So those are things that you can do. Rice bowls are so easy. Cook your rice. Throw some guacamole, some green peppers, red peppers. My gosh, you don't even have to have meat. You could throw black beans, chickpeas, kidney beans. Throw all that on top of it. And some hummus even. It's a beautiful meal. And it's cooked only in 20 minutes. You can have that cooked. Rice only takes 20 minutes. The rest of it you can chop up while it's cooking. So those are some things that you can do to cook at home. And it doesn't have to be gourmet. So just quick little things, throw them in the oven, throw them together and have your meal. I know that we're in a rush a lot. I know that we need to eat out sometimes. It's a must. We have to do it, especially if we're on TV. But these are just some small little tips and some things that you can do just to make those healthier choices so that at the end of the day, you feel healthier, you feel better, your body's working the way it should. Are there any questions? Does anyone have any tips that I didn't give? Oh my gosh, that's a great one. Salmon, asparagus, and cauliflower on rice. Excellent. Bake the salmon and the asparagus in the oven at 400 for 15 minutes. Throw it on top of rice. Rice bowls are excellent, aren't they? You can do so many things with rice bowls. It's like you can just throw it all together with rice and just, and even throw some curry on top of it too, right? So add some spice. Very healthy. Excellent. Yeah. So again, don't feel like your meals have to be gourmet. Throw them together. Easy things like this. You'll fill up with it and it's real food. That is, thank you so much for that. Okay. We've been an hour. You can cut some tomatoes and onions and bake them on the salmon. Oh, sprinkle some feta on top. Oh, wow. We could be here all day. Those are some great ideas. Maybe what we should do is we should do like a calf recipe book of easy meals. Wouldn't that be great if we could all have really easy real food is what we'll call it. Yeah, Cody, I think we need your recipes. You need to get hold of me, sharon.canning@forces.gc.ca. Send me your recipes and I'll try to get them uploaded. Anybody if he sends them to me, he's going to do it. Anybody here who wants Cody's recipes, he's going to send some to me. Send me your email and I'll send them to you. Is that good? Excellent. Sharon, SHARON.Canning, canning at forces.gc.ca. I'm in Gander. You can find me on the D1. Okay. Well, that is it. I do have to show you this one last slide of the resources that are out there for you. Anybody looking at any type of, looking for any information whatsoever, this slide is more so if we were talking about mental health or social wellness. But this, yeah, Sharon.Canning at forces.gc.ca. There you go. But if you're looking for nutritional information, contact your local health promotion people. They're great. We're all so good, us health promoters. We like to help everybody, and just email them and we can help you out. But yeah, Cody, you send me those, and anybody else who wants them, send me an email and I'll forward them along. Thank you so much for joining me today from beautiful Gander. I'm going outside now because it's 30 degrees here and we don't get that often. You guys all go outside too. Enjoy your day, and thank you so much. It was great having you. Thanks.